So today we're going to be talking about everyone's kind of viral Korean sensation that just hit the screens on Netflix. We're talking about Squid Game. I don't think you could have gone through Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media without hearing anything or seeing any memes about this show. And for those of you who haven't heard about Squid Game, what the show is essentially about is it's pretty much a survival like game show where winners take home a huge prize money. I think it's like 46 billion won, which equates back to and while it doesn't implicitly say that there's only going to be one winner, it becomes pretty apparent throughout the show that the powers that be aren't trying to have multiple winners in this show. They're just sick fucks who want to see people go against each other, and you know, that animal instincts come out to ultimately take home that grand prize. But Squid Game isn't just about like torture porn or survival of the fittest. It's not Saw where like, you know, everyone's trying to get through traps and ultimately survive. The show is ultimately about income disparity between the rich and the extremely poor and debt-stricken folk in Korea, which is actually a theme that I've seen come up quite often in Korean media. I'm far from the biggest Korean like media aficionado. I don't watch a lot of Korean dramas or movies, but of the ones I have watched, you think Minari, Burning, Parasite, of course. All three of those movies really hit home that theme of income disparity and just the way of life and how Koreans or the common folk in Korea are really struggling. And in the case of Minari, it's how Korean immigrants really struggle to make a living in the US or wherever they immigrate to. Now that we've got that out of the way, I want to get a bit into what I liked about Squid Game, and a bit later on what kind of didn't work for me. But I'm going to preface this by saying that what works outweighs what doesn't. So there's a reason why the show is so popular. What I really liked about the show is that it takes a concept that's not original, and by that I mean, you know, the corporation versus the common folk, you know, in almost like a survival kind of setting. You see Hunger Games, you've got Battle Royale. Those are just the two off the top of my head. I'm sure there are many others that follow this kind of formula and trope. But what Squid Game does differently is that almost all their participants are willing. They are not forced into it. Yeah, they are not told explicitly what they're gonna have to do. That comes later and comes as a bit of a shock to them. But for the most part, a lot of them are there willingly, which just shows how dire the situation is in reality. Which, you know, if you rather literally, like, I know a lot of people say like, I'd rather die than do this. That's cap though, but in this case, these people are actually doing, like, they'd actually rather die, get rich or die trying, right? That's essentially the mantra of Squid Game, get rich or die trying. I really like how all the characters, and that's something very rare to see where even your supporting cast is extremely fleshed out. I thought all the characters had a very strong motivation for wanting to be there, some more sympathetic than others. You know, there's no one who's really painted out to be your mustache twirling villain. He doesn't really exist. The one thing I really liked about Squid Game was how all their characters kind of have a very clear goal and motivation as to why they are playing the Squid Game, why they are doing these horrible things. And that more often turns back to the fact that their reality is way worse or as bad as their current situation. It's almost like if they play this game, there's at least hope that they might be rewarded for it. But in the outside world, it's almost too bleak to continue living in. What I really liked about Squid Game in comparison to other movies that I listed that are similar, like Hunger Games and Battle Royale, is that everyone, or at least everyone that, you know, is given significant screen time, you know exactly why they are there and why, you know, what they've done in the outside world. What you kind of understand their stakes. Another good thing about the show is that visually it is really stylish. it's the kind of show that, you know, 5-10 years down the road, if you see a still image or a picture from it, you instantly know what it is. And that is the mark of a very franchisable show, if that makes sense, or a very it's the kind of thing that you can use to market your show, especially for seasons 2 and 3. Perfect example, Money Heist, the stupid red jumpsuit. Something as simple as that has made, you know, its mark on like pop culture forever. Whenever someone sees a red jumpsuit or hears Bella Ciao, they know that, you know, it's Money Heist. And the same goes for Squid Game. When you see those jumpsuits, when you see the mask with the triangles, circles, and squares, which I thought was a fantastic little addition, especially to show hierarchy in the order of things, the order of how things are run. Brilliant move, by the way. I really like that. It's all those little things that make a show memorable. Sometimes for the wrong reasons, but in this case, they definitely did a really good job in leaving lasting images in our head. I've stated the importance of characters so many times on this channel, and I'm going to state another thing, especially for TV shows. You need to kind of connect things with the audience, something that instantly reminds them of the show, or something that's innately unique to that show. So I thought it did that very well. I thought the writers were able to bamboozle myself and, you know, a few other people. I've been reading forums, a lot of people, you know, have said how the twist kind of took them by surprise. And yeah, you could be one of those guys who's like, oh yeah, I saw the twist coming a mile away. You know, you guys are dumb for not spotting it. Fair enough, Sherlock Holmes. If you saw those coming a mile away, good for you. But I sincerely doubt that you saw every single twist coming, because this show has a few twists, more than a few actually, and I thought they managed to pull it off without making it too cheesy or cliched or, you know, very eye-rolly. But some were executed better than others, but I thought for the most part, most of the twists in this show were done well and kept viewers, you know, on the edge of their seat, which is what makes the show so bingeable. I've said a lot of good things about the show, but I do have a couple gripes. Some of the games fell a bit flat, you know. I thought they executed the first 2 games very well. The first one being the red light, green light, and the second one was the one with the cookies, you know, where you have to carve out the shape. I thought that one was brilliant. Marbles was good too, but it was less about the game, it was more about the interactions between the characters. So no complaints there, but I thought as the games progressed, that the game almost became an afterthought. It became more about solving the mysteries and, you know, seeing this group of people slowly fracture and start to lose their minds a little bit, which might be the aim of the show. But I thought for a show called Squid Game to have its final battle be it was kind of underwhelming. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I felt like the final battle was pretty underwhelming. The way it ended was okay to me, but I just thought they could have done something a bit more with it. I just feel like it was a bit of a missed opportunity, but ultimately not too much harm done. I just felt like it was a slight missed opportunity. The one thing I really didn't like in this show was how they portrayed the VIPs. We talked about villains earlier. These VIPs were as black and white as they come. They were so boring, so cringe. You know, the dialogue was terrible. I thought maybe it was a language thing, you know, because they had to write dialogue for them in English. But the dialogue was so cheesy, man. It was so over the top. It just didn't work for me. Every time I heard them speak, I was just like, ugh. I'd rather they had been more mysterious than just your type A villain who's just like, oh yeah, I have money, you know, I'm gonna watch the people, these folk, you know, struggle and suffer before me. A bit more nuanced. I don't even know the word for it, but a bit more subtlety would have worked. It was just too in your face. And yeah, fortunately it didn't take up too much screen time, but every time I saw the VIPs, I was just cringed out. Maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe they wanted to paint these guys as cringe and like weird, but you could have done it so many different ways. You could have made them more serious. You could have made them more serious. You could have made them more bloodthirsty, and yeah, the dialogue especially just didn't work for me. I don't know what you guys think. Now, I know that was really pretty much just the bullet points. Like I said, these are just my off-the-cuff thoughts on the show, and yeah, just to help people who are on the fence give it a go. Because I think despite the few negatives about it, I thought that it was definitely worth the 9 episodes. Not much filler going on. Thematically, it's strong, and yeah, obviously with all good shows, there's a sequel, which was inevitable. You know, you're always gonna have, when it comes to these shows, first you have to run the gauntlet of the maze or the show or whatever, and then once the hero comes out of it, they go against the corporation or against the man. So yeah, those are just my brief thoughts on Squid Game. You can catch it on Netflix. Yeah, it's taking the world by storm. I guarantee you by Halloween we're gonna see loads of people wearing those get-ups, and yeah, dude, maybe that was a marketing move to release it before Halloween. Smart guys. Anyway, that was my quick thoughts on Squid Game. Hope you guys enjoyed. Follow the channel if you haven't done so already. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video.